Hi guys, first of all, welcome to my channel. My name is Marta and I'm a flight attendant for Etihad. In this video, I wanted to talk about the job itself, the recruitment process, the CV, and in general what it takes to be a cabin attendant. I'm gonna try to cover as much as possible. But if you do have any questions, please write in comments. I'll be more than happy to explain and tell you how it went for me. And yeah, let's give it a go. Number one would be your CV. I think it's one of the most important steps and the very first one as well, and it can actually determine if you're gonna make it to the assessment day or not. It's really hard to go into details how it should look or what shouldn't be there, but I think it is quite important to keep it simple but also elegant. Use the neutral colors. Don't go with any bright red or anything like that. You may want to use them because it catches the eye, but I think the simplicity is the key here. What is also even more important is the content of your CV. Of course, you want to write all about your experience, but I would still focus more on the jobs that required from you to deal with people. In this job, you're gonna deal with a lot of people every day, so focus on that. Focus on the skills you've gained and on anything that you would think is crucial for the job. So let's say languages you can speak and write. It is important. They're gonna check if you can speak and write in the certain language. So if you want to mention it in your CV, just make sure you can actually do it. So at this stage, thinking about the skills or the features that you want to list that you have in your CV, you can already think about how those features helped you solve some issues in the past. This is one of the questions that happens a lot. So it would be good to already prepare for it, knowing it's coming. So let's say think about the situation when you had to solve a conflict at work, a conflict with colleague, or a situation when you were dealing with a difficult customer, and how did you come out of this situation. While writing down on your CV those features, you may already think about the practical examples to show the recruiters later on that you actually been in this situation, and in the future when you face it again, you will find the solution that makes everyone happy in the end. This is Oli. This is my dog Oli, and he also wanted to be a cabin attendant, but they do not want dogs as for now. Oh. But you would be the cutest cabin attendant, Oli. The assessment day. This is the moment when you finally receive the invitation, and of course you're gonna stress a lot, most probably, especially when you get to the place. When I was applying for Etihad, there was an open day in Dubai, and it was the second assessment day basically since before the pandemic. By the way, the first one, they did not accept me. So if anything happens and you go but you've been rejected, or even at the stage of the CV they rejected you, don't give up, because it doesn't mean that you're not good for the job. It just means that out of all the CVs and people who applied, you were just not lucky this time. You can still work on the things you think you may improve, as this may be one of the questions as well. If you have applied once and you've been rejected, the next time it can happen that they'll ask you, what have you improved from the last, or what have you learned from the last recruitment? I did send my CV online. However, the day before my assessment day, there was an open day. Around 400 or 500 people were invited to the same assessment day as me. To be honest, it was a little bit overwhelming at first. I did not expect 30 minutes before the event itself to see lines and lines of people. It was just so many of them that I did get a bit overwhelmed, because at this stage you think like, you know, going there and getting through the first step, you may think that okay, they like my CV, they like my experience, so it's gonna go easy from now on. But actually seeing the amount of candidates was like a cold shower. We were standing in the line, and at this stage I was just getting to know people. It was in the middle of summer, so it was pretty hot. So it was quite easy to start the conversation because we were all suffering there. But anyway, yeah, so you meet people and they all have the same dream and the same experience or similar experience working with people, so you have plenty of topics to talk about. In the end, as I said, it was around 500 people. So when we were finally invited inside, it was a big venue. We were just asked to sit down and wait. One of the first things that happened was the presentation about the company itself and about the job itself. The recruiters were asking us questions as well. Those were quite easy questions. Part of them was about Etihad itself, what we know about the company, and the rest was about the cabin crew job, what it takes to be a cabin crew, or what features should the good cabin attendant have. At this stage, it's good to know a little bit about the company or about the job itself, just so you can raise your hand and show them that you're listening, that you're active, that you're not afraid to speak as well, and that you are prepared, coming prepared to the interview. So yeah, do that research before coming. Just some, couple of information about the, let's say, first flight, when the company started, where was the first destination they flew to, and information like that. Just some basic facts. Who's the CEO, and so on and so on. That would be the first stage. So we all got inside, and the presentation has finished. In the meantime, of course, you also get breaks, so you get a lot of time to meet people. Also, don't forget to bring some snacks and some water, because it's gonna be a long day. It can actually be more than one day if there's so many people coming. So now let's move to the second stage of the assessment day, which was what I call small talk. So we all got our numbers, and those numbers were to determine the order that will be going to the recruiters. There were maybe 5 or 6 of them sitting next to the desk, and they would invite each of us by our number. You are not really asked much because the whole thing takes only a couple of minutes, but you may be asked to introduce yourself or tell something about yourself. So you may think it's easy, right? Just talk about yourself. Well, it's not. So you have to say something that will make them remember you, something unique about yourself. It's good to prepare something ahead, like a small introduction. You may mention something about your passions or special skills that you have. At this stage, they may ask you something very simple, like how are you, how was your day so far, why would you like to get this job, and so on. After that, you will be presented with a pile of cards. They look like memory cards, and each of them has a different picture on it. Once you pick your card, you will have to talk about what's on it or anything that is connected to the thing on the card for next minute or two. Is there a specific way you should answer it?
I don't think so.
I think it's mainly to test if you can think on the spot and if your language skills are at the required level. So what can be on the card? Literally anything. From the cards that I've seen or from what other people picked, there were really random things like laptop, batteries, camel, globe, home, plant, literally anything. Whatever you pick, just talk, don't freeze. And if it's a plant, you can talk about funny story from the past when you were gardening with your friends. If it's a plane, you can talk about your first time that you were flying or the most memorable experience. It's good to show that you are not a robot, so pick something that is actually genuine, like a genuine memory, or you know, when you pick I don't know, a bike, don't talk about how biking is healthy. Just say something that shows them who you are as a person. Let them get to know you in those few moments that you have to shine. So once you're done with the exercise, they will ask you to step outside and wait for the other candidates to finish. And after that, they will present the list or call the numbers that made it successfully to the next stage. So I tried to emphasize in the last couple of minutes that during the whole experience, the whole day, the assessment, waiting in the line, breaks, you should talk to people. You should let them get to know you, and you should try to get to know them and make friends. Not only because those can be very long-lasting and strong friendships in the future, but it will be quite crucial for this stage, which is group exercise. So you may think, okay, I've been sitting with people who are around my number, so I already know them well enough to do it.
Well,
They will divide you into different groups. Each of you will be given a number, let's say from 1 to 10, depending on the amount of people, and all people with number 1 will be in the first group, or people with number 2 will be in the second, and so on and so on. So it will be very random, and you may be in a group with people you haven't really seen before, even though it's been already a couple of hours that you're sitting in one room. Every group will be will get a time slot. So let's say a group number 1 will start at 10:40 and group number 2 will start at 11. In my case, when we were asked to step out of the room so they can prepare it for the exercise, it was actually quite funny because everyone was trying to find their group. It was like, number 1 here, number 2 here, please come. So all people actually, it went quite smooth. You would be surprised how smooth people can find each other among at this stage maybe 200-300 people. So once you find your group, I would suggest to get to know your names, each other's names. It just looks nice that during the exercise you don't call each other or hey, maybe let's do it like that. If you call the person by name, it already shows that you want to have those genuine connections with your co-workers, future co-workers, and in general that you can create a nice team. So what else can you do? Now you know all the names of your teammates, and you still have a couple of minutes, but you don't really know what task you'll be facing. Well, you know a couple of things, and first one is that you will be asked to say something, or you will have to solve an issue as a team. At this stage, even though you don't know the details, you can set up a few rules between your team workers. So the rules that we chose in my group were very simple, and I think it was only 2 of them. The first one was that we want every single person to say something. It is very important because you don't want to be seen as a person, as a quiet one who's sitting in the corner and just nods their head. That's not good. That's not gonna help you in the future when you have to face issues at work. So let everyone talk. And the second one was that we will not interrupt each other. We also agreed that whenever somebody finishes a sentence, we're gonna wait a couple of seconds, 2-3 seconds, just to make sure that this person is not gonna say anything else. Why? We didn't want to cut into somebody's sentence. It doesn't look good, it's a bit rude, nobody likes it, so why should we do it while we're being evaluated on our teamwork? So with those couple of rules, we went inside and started our group exercise. You cannot really prepare for the group exercise at home, but with those simple rules and a good attitude, you can really make it through and have a lot of fun. From what I noticed, they did observe our body language a lot as well during it. So they did ask us to remove our blazers, and I'm not sure if it was because they wanted to double check if we have any visible tattoos, but I suspect it was more to observe our body language. So how can you prepare? Well, you can read a little bit about body language. At this stage, when you talk to the recruiters, or actually any stage, but especially when your body language is being observed, you should at least try to avoid the body language that is an obvious sign of being nervous. So leaning forward, avoiding eye contact, talking too slow or too fast, freezing, crossing your shoulders, anything like that, try to avoid it. Once you're done with the group exercise and all other candidates finished as well, you'll be again asked to the room and presented with the numbers who made it further. What is actually surprising is that because it's such a unique experience, you're actually cheering for people who either you spent most of the day with or people who were in your group during the previous stage. In my case, when they were reading the numbers who made it further, I was just looking around trying to spot the girls that I was in one group with, and to make sure that they're also going to make it to the next stage. I don't know, I find it funny because it's literally 1 day or 2 days of your life, and in those couple of hours you make such a strong connections. So guys, final interview, the last stage of the assessment day. My final interview was actually moved to the next day, and you could see that the group got way smaller and I think that was the most stressful part of the whole experience, because it was really official at this stage that I've made it so far, and I have a real chance to actually succeed. So the final interview is a one-to-one conversation with a recruiter. In my case, at every single stage I had a different recruiter. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know, but it gives you the opportunity to prove each of those recruiters, each one of them, that you are where you're supposed to be, that you are in the right place and that you are a perfect candidate for this job. If it was a one person, it would also be nice because you can continue building the same relationship that you started in the first stage. However, if one person doesn't like you, then it's much harder to change their opinion. And if you have 3 or 4 different people interviewing you, if 3 of them are sure you're a good candidate and one is not convinced, your chances are just much better to get the job in the end. For my final interview, I was asked to wear a short sleeve as they were checking us for any undeclared tattoos. As a cabin crew, you can have tattoos, they just can't be visible in the uniform. You will get a form where you have to mark the location of your tattoos, and I think you should declare them all. If you have any, just declare it. It's not gonna ruin your chances. It's not really gonna have any influence on the final outcome, as long as they're not visible in the uniform. I don't think you should try to hide any of your tattoos, because sooner or later they're gonna find out. And if you're already at the final interview stage, or if you got the job and now you're in the training academy and they can see that you have a tattoo that you haven't declared before, it's gonna be an issue. Going for your final interview, you should know your CV well. They are gonna ask you questions about your previous jobs, about your previous experience, and they will also want you to provide practical examples. There's a lot of questions online, and they're no different than the ones that you can actually find very easily. Most questions are about any difficulties that you may have faced in your previous jobs. Let's say, tell me about the situation when you were dealing with the difficult customer. Tell me about the situation when you had conflict at work and how you solved it. Tell me about the situation when you misjudged somebody. Tell me about the situation when you had to lie in the workplace. Anything like that. It is really good to have a practical example for each scenario like that. And don't try to say like, yeah, I had this situation when my colleague was upset at me because I ate his or her lunch, but I said sorry, so it was okay. No, it's not okay. You have to show them that you can come up with the solution that will satisfy both parties, both ends. So in that situation, you can say that it was a very busy day at work and I had the same lunchbox as my colleague, and by mistake I have eaten their lunch. But as soon as I realized, I went to apologize. I offered my lunch in exchange. I also bought this person some snacks from the canteen, and in the end we just laughed about it because it was just such a funny coincidence. You know, keep it short. Make sure that whatever the outcome is, it's positive. Don't end up with, yeah, and the person was really mad at me because of this lunch, so we never spoke again. Don't do it. I know it sounds obvious, but it's not that obvious when you're in a stressful situation and you have to say those things out loud. So whatever situation you have in your experience or in the past, not even at workplace, just in general with people, try to practice them a little bit at home before you go. So in my case, I was asked one thing that surprised me a lot, and I really had to think on the spot. It sounds like an easy question, but then again, in a stressful situation, I just didn't really had the answer that I would be satisfied with. So the question was, when you came to the UAE, what was the biggest cultural shock? To be honest, at the time when I heard the question, I wasn't sure what to answer. It was just one of the questions that I was not really happy with how I dealt with it. Anyway, when I left the room, all of a sudden all the answers came to me. And I was really upset with myself because I felt that I could have given them such a great answer. I've been living for 2 or 3 years in UAE by that time, and of course there were some cultural differences between where I was before and here, and some were quite obvious, but I just got used to them in a way, or I just changed a little bit as well from the moment I got here in the first place. So this question came as a shocker to me. So here you go, you can prepare for it so you're not surprised. Even if you're not happy with your answers, don't be upset about yourself before you get the final results. because at this point I was thinking, oh, I blew it. I'm not gonna make it because the answer was not just so great, and there's so many people coming, for sure somebody gave the better answer. But as you can see, the result was actually positive. What is really important to remember is that they're not looking for perfect people, for models or for robots that will perform the task exactly how it's meant to be. It's also important who you are as a person. They're looking for kind, genuine people, hardworking people who can come up with the solution or solve the issue when it's needed. So in this case, of course you will get the question that you don't know how to answer. This is the whole point of the interview, that to surprise you and to see how you react. What can you do? You can, first of all, don't freeze. This is the worst that can happen. So how to do it? Just smile. Even if you don't know what to say, just smile, and you can even repeat it, the question out loud. Maybe that will help you to come up with the answer. If not, just start talking about something similar and you will find your way to the right path to answer the question. I know it's more simple to say it now than it is on the spot, but I think you can do it. You've made it so far. You already showed them that you're capable of doing the group activities, of dealing with complete strangers, of dealing with stress. So it's the last stage where you can just try to think about all those positive things, how far you've made it, and whatever happens, just soldier through, smile, and you'll be great. So from now on, it's just waiting for the golden call, and it can go really fast depending on the demand at the moment. In my case, it was about 2 weeks from the final interview to starting my initial training. So it was really fast. My life has changed so much from the day that I sent my CV to now. It is a demanding job. This is not a secret. It's gonna be demanding, but it's still, it gives you so much freedom and so much pleasure in life that it is worth all the struggles that you may face. So I think that's it. It's an interview process in a nutshell. I hope that this video helped you prepare for your interview, or maybe show you some techniques how to present yourself or deal with stress during the event. So final thoughts. Try to prepare as much as you can. Write down your answers to the most common questions. Practice them in front of the mirror, thinking about your posture and body language, keeping the eye contact. Bring your positive attitude and smile to the assessment day itself, and try to make friends. Those may be the friendships that will last a lifetime, because you will share such a unique experience together. And just keep in mind that this may be a beginning of something great for you as well. So with that, I'm gonna finish, as it's gonna be probably long video anyway. I wish you all the best, all the luck during your assessment day, and I hope to see you on board soon.